Asokevana, Awake Sonyo Bawari, our last guest speaker is the last but not the least. You know, we have had different calibers of people. We've had a professor from a university. We've had a retired chief engineer from the Nigerian Petroleum Company, NNPC. We've had a military man who is retired and who is now teaching in a university. So we have had a spectrum. Now we are going to have somebody who's been involved in politics. And has been involved in politics to the extent that he rose to become the commissioner for finance in the Delta State government. One who himself is a chartered accountant and has gone back to the practice of his trade since leaving government.
Last position was...
Ladies and gentlemen, it's a great privilege for me to be in position to introduce a guy who has had leadership working experience in the public and private sectors, not only in Nigeria, but also in other parts of the world. And so we can confidently say that as a fellow of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, he's an international financial expert. Ladies and gentlemen, I introduce to you Chief Kenneth Okpara. Chief Kenneth Okpara.
Urhobo wado. Urhobo wado. Biero wa. Wado. Ikpakobe. Migwe bone. Ivye. Awari ivye ve water was seda. I ivye be because I came Olorogun. Oguri merime. Ve oviere Umiaghwa-Abraka. Even ivyeme. I do Biero wa migwe bone. I want to greet everybody who are connected today. All over the world, people have connected to watch this UPU Urhobo Day. And as I greet them, I also want to commend the UPU United Kingdom because they have set the pace. This is what we have been looking for, something like this, to talk about leadership. Because in Nigeria, the key problem, everybody says it, is leadership. So we need to talk about it. And bringing people who are experts, people who have spoken today, all of them have spoken on different aspects of leadership, and they are experts. You will know that they've spoken and they touch every area. And this is really, really what we need to move Nigeria forward. We are not talking of only Delta State, we are talking of even Nigeria as a whole. So I greet everybody who has connected today and speaking on accountability, transparency, and good governance. This is an area that I know that Nigeria currently is lacking. If I ask a question, how many of us Nigerians have heard that a minister resigned because there was an error or he made a mistake or he took a wrong decision? It's really, really not heard of in Nigeria. Rather, they will perpetrate whatever they've done and they will even avoid being prosecuted. This is a question of accountability. And what does failure to account lead to? It leads to corruption. And the World Bank, where I've worked and had long years of experience, and other developing agencies, they take corruption as the #1 enemy of development all over the world. When you allow corruption to prevail, your economy will not develop. People will not get benefit for what they are supposed to get. So these are problems that we've been having. And so I'll talk about accountability, just like defining what it is and link it to good governance. Accountability is the obligation of an individual or organization to account for its activities, accept responsibility for them, and to disclose the results in a transparent manner. It also includes the responsibility for money or other entrusted property. So you can see from this definition that accountability and transparency, they are like Siamese twins. They are linked. In fact, when you are accountable, you are entrenching transparency. And once you are transparent, you're accountable and you're transparent, what does it lead to? It leads to good governance. This is what we are lacking in Nigeria. Why are we not having good governance? The opposite of good governance is bad governance. We are not moving forward because we lack accountability, we lack transparency. Some do it in a way, but not a holistic approach. So what am I going to speak on today? I'm going to talk about just one of my colleague, Peter Bregman, who is a consultant, a management consultant like me. He wrote an article for the Harvard Business Review. He's also a leadership consultant because he trains people on leadership. He's an expert on leadership. He talked about the 5 ingredients that you need for accountability to prevail. Accountability, by the way, is a culture. It's not just a name, it's a culture that needs to be in an institution, in a nation, in a state. And once that culture is part of the people, it follows that things will work as you implement. It's just like you see a Nigerian, you go to Europe, you go to America to live. What happens? You meet a system. You meet a culture of accountability, system of accountability. And what do? You fit into it. But where there are no system, or there are system, but people are not flowing with it, they are not implementing it holistically, what happens? It causes a breakdown and there's bad governance. So we're going to talk about those 5 ingredients. But I'm going to use the mechanism because I'm speaking from experience. When I was the Commissioner for Economic Planning and Finance in Delta State, the governor instituted an accountability mechanism, which we call the Economic Dashboard for Delta State. So I'm going to speak to that. It's going to be shown in I'm going to share it, and it's going to talk about, we'll use that to illustrate those 5 ingredients of accountability as explained, as written in that Harvard Business Review by the CEO of Bregman, Peter Bregman. Yeah, that board that we're all saying is a mechanism that we use in Delta State. I think we started using it from 2013 up to when we left in 2015, and it was under my watch because it was my ministry that implemented it. And what we did is we talk about measuring economic development, key performance indicators, target setting. It's all a process thing. Each ministry has their mission statement, their vision, their mission statement, and their objectives. They also will not devise strategies to achieve those objectives. So what we expect them to give to us is the key performance indicators to show that they've achieved the objective of their ministry. And those key performance indicators, we work with them in agreeing each of them to make sure they reflect what the governor expects them. The commissioner is in charge of each ministry, followed by permanent secretaries and directors that works in the ministry. So the key performance indicators, we now expect them to give us how they are going to achieve it. They break it down into different quarters of the year, and because it's done yearly. And this will be aligned with their budget. We were in charge of budget. So the budget they are going to present to the government for which resources will be allocated will be based on these key performance indicators, and which is meant towards achieving the objective. So what they do then is that every quarter they submit a report to the Ministry of Economic Planning, which is the accountability report. And that report is not assessed by us. We have what we call a department that does monitoring and evaluation. They will now evaluate using the indicators, because there are indicators that would have been arrived at with the ministry, whether they achieve the objective, the benchmark that they were supposed to attain for that particular quarter. So that's how the process works. And we have every quarter we have like a meeting chaired by the governor, His Excellency the Governor. I thank him. He chairs the meeting, and all commissioners are present, and the permanent secretaries are present, the directors are present, and key staff, where they give account. Each ministry is called upon to give account of their stewardship, what they did, and questions are asked. And where you've not performed up to par, the governor will also tell you, based on the advice we, the experts, the economic planning department gives to them. So that's about the dashboard. And what did he do? At the end of the day, he helped us in tracking our performance and also helping us to go away. I mean, this is the direction, because you have the overall objective of the state, where we want to go to in terms of GDP, gross domestic product. That's to measure our economic impact and other things, various objectives, what we're supposed to do. And these have to be with the different sectors of the economy of the state. So it helps us in measuring how we're moving. And I see this kind of mechanism, if implemented, even at the federal level, it will help. But let me tell you, before we go into the ingredients, a leader that is going to lead the accountability team must be accountable. And the team also must be accountable. Because if you are, what did they say? If a fish head is rotten, it tells you how the rest part of the body will be. So if you have a leader that is not accountable, is not taking responsibility, is not transparent, then the team will also follow suit. Another thing that the leader has to do is to select a team that has the capacity, because we're going to talk about one of the ingredients is capacity, the capability to implement. President Barack Obama of America, the former president, succeeded in America. Largely, research have shown that because of the team he selected. So if you have a good team, then you are sure of where you are going. It helps professionally. So what I want to advise leaders in Nigeria, it doesn't mean that you must appoint only politicians who fought and work with you during the election. Like you have the president of the UPU-UK, for example, my brother, Chief Urhobo. You can call him and other people, UPU even worldwide, and tell them the kind of expert you need. Like I was a finance expert, and I came from the World Bank. And I feel like I went back to give back to my country. I've been supporting other countries. Why wouldn't I give back to my state, Delta State? So any good leader need a good team for you to be that are accountable. But you have to start the process, and then you need to carry everybody in the team along. If you want to leave an organization and you want somebody to continue with your legacy, you look for a best hand. It's the same thing when you want to get a team. You don't wait until when elections are even won. Even while you are campaigning for an election, you start penciling down people who you think can work with you. Professionals, not necessarily politicians. Politicians will come in too because it's a mix, both politicians and technocrats. That's what works from my own experience, you know. So we go on to those 5 ingredients. The title of Peter Bregman's article is "The Right Way to Hold People Accountable," and he wrote it for the Harvard Business Review. You can always see it on the internet. And there was an issue. It's just like he created a scenario, a problem statement of what really brought about the question about accountability in a team, you know. And he said John was doing his best to be calm. Okay, no, let's just go on to the question that was asked. Okay, the question was, how do I get my people to be more accountable for results? It comes to a point to say, why do we even need accountability? It's to get results. What is lacking in Nigeria? We don't get results. We don't achieve results because everybody will say, oh, budget, billions of money are budgeted every year, trillions are budgeted. People are good at reading budget, but when it comes to the results on ground, you don't see them. You know, so one of the things that the question that Peter Bregman was, the question statement on Peter Bregman's article was, how do I get my people to be more accountable? That's the leader saying it. You have to, I said that you, the leader, have to start to being accountable before your people. And that is where the ingredients now came. So we can go ahead to share the ingredients. Number 1, you can share that clear expectation. The first step is to be crystal clear about what you expect. This means being clear about the outcome you are looking for, how you will measure success, and how people should go about achieving the objective. I spoke about the economic dashboard, that we have the key performance indicators for each ministry, which is for each commissioner. So, and it's driven from their mission statement, their objective. This is also tied to their budget. So there's a clear expectations from the governor, as you are appointed as a commissioner, that is, or a minister, the president, we're talking about the national level, that this is what we expect from your ministry. And it is what you will be judged by as a minister or as a commissioner, your success. Because if you don't succeed, if you succeed, we're going to come to that as one of the criteria, the ingredients, a reward will be given to you if you succeed. But if you don't succeed, then there are also consequences. So there are clear expectations which need to be defined. That's number 1. The second one is what I've spoken about earlier, is clear capability. What skills does the person need to meet the expectations? Because you can tell a commissioner who is going to be responsible, who is going to account for his ministry's performance, to achieve certain things. But if you don't put a square peg in a square hole, how does that work? For example, you have the Ministry of Works, which does a lot of engineering, construction work. You go and bring a medical doctor to head it. It's likely administrative because many people will tell you a minister is, but the skills you bring in is very important. So the capability we have to come in. That is where in more ministries you have directors who are experts, like engineers, who are expert directors, permanent secretaries, you know, like in Ministry of Work. You know, so the capability is very important. Then you talk about clear measurement. Nothing frustrates leaders more than being surprised by failure. Sometimes this surprise is because the person who should be delivering is afraid to ask for help. Sometimes it comes from premature optimism on both sides. Either way, is completely avoidable. During the expectation conversation, you should agree on weekly milestones with clear, measurable, objective targets. If any of these targets slip, jump on it immediately. Brainstorm a solution. Identify a fix. Redesign the schedule or respond in some other way that gets the person back on track. So this is what I told you about the monitoring and evaluation aspect of our dashboard. We have a team in each ministry, a head of monitoring and evaluation, M&E, in each ministry that reports to our own monitoring and evaluation department in economic planning that checks whether those things that we expect to measure, it has to be measurable. You know, milestone has to be measurable. Otherwise, you can't really judge whether the person has attained it. Number 3. Then the clear feedback is number 4. Honest, open, ongoing feedback is critical. People should know where they stand. If you have clear expectations, capability, and measurement, the feedback can be fact-based and easy to deliver. Is the person delivering on a commitment? Is she working well with the other stakeholders? If she needs to increase her capability, is she on track? The feedback can also go both ways. Is there something you can be doing to be more helpful? Give feedback weekly. And remember, it's more important to be helpful than nice. Being helpful is like you support the team. That's what we do. In economic planning, our monitoring and evaluation team, we give them feedback and tell them how to enhance their process. Because we also have professionals in various sectors of the economy working in economic planning that we're giving those feedback. Number 5 is clear consequences. I said that earlier, that if you do well from the measurement, you are rewarded. Where you are not, maybe like by way of promotion, or sometimes we even give a cash award, you know, to motivate the staff, you know. But where you are not doing well, you are, there's punitive thing. You may be removed as a commissioner or as a minister, or you will even resign. Nobody will tell you. That's the accountability that I'm talking about, you know. So clear consequences is there. So that's the last one. I mean, so these are the building blocks for a culture. As I said, it's a culture of accountability. It has to be ingrained in the system. The magic is in the way they work together as a system. If you miss anyone, accountability will fall through that gap. That means the 5 things, ingredient we talked about has to come in. So I just want to conclude by saying that as a leader, the kind of leadership that we need in Nigeria is the one that will be accountable, that will take responsibility for their action, and that will be transparent, because we need good governance. And I will conclude by saying that There are leaders and there are leaders. I have a leader who I copied from. He comes to the table with a view in an ESCO meeting. For example, this is the way, and he would have said it from the beginning, but he listens to all the argument because he has a lot of us who are experts. And he goes back, he changes his mind. Whatever decision he has made before coming to the table, he takes a decision in favor of a superior argument. That is the way to go in Nigeria. You have leadership that have a team that relies on the team and not forgetting that those team are experts that you brought together. And it is the unity by working together and also respecting the views coming from those bottom up and top down. That's the way the thing works. That is how you are able to make progress. And that's how Nigeria will move forward. So I'm calling upon the national government, the state government for 2023, even now, to implement like an economic dashboard in Nigeria. You know, Delta State 2023, let there be a continuance of this economic dashboard so that we can use it to track, because it helps in accountability for us to move forward. I thank everybody once again, and I thank my dear brother and his team, the UPU-UK team, for a very good job and for this initiative. God bless everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. God bless you.
Amen. Chief Okpagha.
Yes, sir.
Wekobiro mamo.
Yes, sir.
The word to Tarasiena. Kowa kokone iswe to Roboko Okpagha. Naroki Quality Headmaster School Devil. Today you talked about the fact that accountability has to be the culture.
Yes.
Nothing beyond that.
Yes,
and
sir.
We cannot dispute the fact that the leader must be accountable and the led must be accountable. And you talk about the importance of a good team. And one of the things I enjoyed most about all the things you said is that the good member of the team does not necessarily have to be a politician. That we should look for the expertise from wherever that expertise exists in order that our people can have progress.
Yes.
And I'm sure that you will have a lot of questions. But
yes, sir.
Thank you for everything you said, because there's nothing, if we're going to make progress, then accountability is key. And I like the fact that you talked about consequences, because we hold people accountable. It's not enough to hold them accountable. Where they are doing well, there will be reward.
Yes.
If they are not doing well, there should be consequences. In that way, the younger generation, the next generation will come knowing that we have this culture of accountability. Thank you very much, my brother.
Thank you, sir.